Welcome to this brief R tutorial. This video will be a set of first looks at the program. We're going to cover three things: where to download R and RStudio, the appearance of RStudio when you first open it, and how to load inbuilt datasets. So, where to acquire these programs? Luckily, R and RStudio are both freely available online. So first, you're going to want to download R. And the way to do that is to search CRAN, and that will take you to the Comprehensive R Archive Network. Now this is going to be our source for the program. And then there are some options for downloading depending on what kind of operating system you're using. So if you are using R, you can go ahead and click here, Download R for Windows, and then you'll want to install R for the first time, and then go ahead and click here to download the program. To get RStudio, which is also free, just Google search RStudio, and then click here, RStudio Home, and then go ahead and click Download Now. So the installation instructions are actually pretty easy, and once you fully install R and RStudio, you can open it up and it'll look something like this. Now, RStudio is composed of 4 panes when you first open it, and it looks like there are only 3 here. The first thing that you see is the console, and then there's sort of a hidden pane up here called Source. So in order to see that, I'm going to minimize the console pane. So this is the source. And then over here at right, we have the workspace and then a set of files. Now, the files that you see are going to be slightly different from mine. And these are just the files in whatever your home directory is. To figure out what your home directory is, just look for the gray heading right here. Now, most of the action in RStudio is going to take place on the left-hand side of the screen. This source area is where we're going to type instructions that R is going to execute. So, for example, I can do some basic calculations. So let's say 1 plus 6. And then if I want to execute this expression, I can go ahead and click Run right here. And then if we look down in the console, we can see that R has evaluated this expression and returned 7. Now, a handy shortcut here is, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and type in 2 times 3. So let's say we want to evaluate this expression. Rather than clicking Run, we can just press Control and Enter if you're using a Windows machine, and that will automatically evaluate this expression. Now, as a last bit, I want to talk briefly about loading inbuilt datasets. So R is going to be a very powerful program for analyzing data, but in order to analyze data, we need to have data accessible. And so here we can start to look at some datasets that are already available to us right when we first download R. So the way to look at those is to type in data, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, and then execute this command, either by pressing Run or by pressing Control and Enter. And then this page will come up that shows the inbuilt datasets that are already available to us. Now, the name of various datasets appears at left, and then a short description of each dataset appears at the right. And there are a lot to choose from. So, let's say, for example, that I'm interested in loading the iris dataset. This is sort of a classic dataset that's used all over the place. If I want to load the iris dataset, I need to type data and then open parenthesis and then iris inside the parentheses. And then when I execute this statement by pressing Control and Enter, I can see that the data are now available here by looking at the workspace pane, and I get some information about the dataset at right. The way to sort of double check that the data have loaded into R is going ahead and typing the name of the dataset that I think that I've loaded. Now if I go ahead and execute this command, I can see a bunch of information down here in the console. And you need to be a little bit careful with this command because this is going to spit back the entire data set for us. And so sometimes if we're working with a really large data set, this isn't something that we want to do, but this can be a really quick check to make sure that R now has the data available. So this has been a very brief introduction to sort of the basic features of R and RStudio. We've talked about where to acquire the program, the kind of 4 panes that we see, and how to load inbuilt data.